So, if there is no specific topic, then I will speak just a few minutes about the difference between the suppression and mind control. Because some people are confused and they don't know what is the difference between suppression and mind control. We always hear mind control, mind control, mind control, but usually what people understand when they hear mind control, they think I have to suppress something. So, whereas it's a completely different concept. And I would like to clarify a little bit and to explain the difference between the two. Suppression is actually very bad. And Krishna himself says, Nigraham kim karishyati. What can suppression accomplish? If we have some drive or some very strong desire and we try to just kind of, suppress it, that nothing happens with the energy of this desire. The energy of this desire is still there. And being suppressed, it's in suppressed way somewhere there, and it creates damage to our physical and mental bodies. Like recently, I spoke with one Ayurvedic doctor, and this Ayurvedic doctor said to me an amazing thing. He said that sometimes in the old age, people develop this Parkinson disease, and they become, the tremor, they start trembling. He said, you know what is the reason for this? The reason for this is suppressed anger. We all know if we feel anger, we start shaking and trembling. Now take this energy, which is there, energy of anger, which is there. And somehow or other, because of some social understanding or whatever, you suppress this energy. Then all this trembling is there in suppressed form in your mind. And when you become old and your mind is not strong enough, all this energy just manifests and you start trembling all the time. Why? Because this energy, it's not gone anywhere. It's still there and you didn't do anything. So suppression means basically that you have certain desire, certain drive, certain emotion which is there in the mind, and you can't manifest it because of some social reasons. You're living in some environment, in an ashram or whatever, and it's not good. And you're suppressing it, but you're not really solving the problem. You're just externally behaving in a certain way as if it's not there. But it's there. Anger is there, lust is there, it's just there in a suppressed form. And what happens, if it's there in a suppressed form, it, instead of being eradicated or being kind of killed, it gains energy. And for some time it's there in a suppressed form, then after so many years it may just come out with in a very ugly shape and form, because it's there. Same way the story about Saubhari Muni, who was so many years practicing his, breath control, totally, his mind was actually under control to a certain extent, but because the desire was there, it was unresolved desire. Ultimately, just little indication, little something, and then the whole ugly desire is there, and it's so strong. He was brahmachari for so many years under the water. It was his brahmachari ashram under the water. But then all of a sudden he not only have one wife, 50 wives. Of course, he regretted afterwards, but it was too late. Again, one policy about all these desires or impulses, all these vegas which are there in the mind, is just try to suppress them. Another policy is completely different and much more healthy. You try to control them. And now I will explain what is the difference between the control and suppression. Because immediately when we hear control, we think I should suppress it. No, it's not the same. Control means that you bring all these vegas, all these impulses which are there in the mind, all these pushings, all these cravings, in your in the realm of your consciousness, in the realm of your awareness. And you deal with them because at present moment, most of these cravings and things like this, they are in our subconsciousness, in our subconscious mind. So the way to deal with them is actually be aware of them and not be afraid of them. Usually what happens, we see, we feel it, and because we know it's not good, and because of so many other reasons, socially it's not appreciated, we're kind of afraid even to admit that it's there. We're very ashamed, and so on and so forth. The first thing which you should do, you should be very clear and very, scientific and very, very honest about it. Yes, it's there. And everyone has this, as long as we have some material body, there will be some problems, some desires which we carry from previous lives. And there's nothing wrong with it. My favorite story about Prabhupada, when Brahmacharya approached Prabhupada and said, Prabhupada, I have no lust. He said, maybe you should go to doctor. So, what's wrong with you? So if you have body and if you have mind, there will be some desires, some lust is there. It's fine, but deal with it in a very, it's in a very honest way. Yes, it's there. And because if you are trying to avoid it and trying to just suppress it and trying to pretend it's not there and ashamed and guilty about this and that, it will only make it stronger. And actually, it's not such a big deal. Yes, everyone has it, fine, no problem. And if you bring it to the realm of consciousness, then it immediately will become weaker. It's only as strong as we make it strong. As strong as we are afraid of it and have all kinds of strange concepts and understandings of it. Yes, this is there. And we should try to be very much aware of it. This awareness, actually, the key is awareness. What I want to say is that intelligence, buddhi, this faculty of our mind, conscious mind, however you call it, buddhi, conscious mind, or what, awareness, consciousness, real consciousness, it's the ability in our mental body to digest certain things. And if we want to get rid of something, the way to get rid of this is to process it with the conscious mind, with buddhi, with intelligence. As long as it's not processed by the conscious mind and it remains somewhere in some consciousness, then all of a sudden, the moment when you are less expected, it just will jump on you, overwhelm you, and will make you crazy for some time. And then you will regret and this and that. So better to kind of process it. It's a similar way, but perhaps not so drastic. When people go psychoanalysis, what is the point? What is the mechanism behind psychoanalysis? Psychoanalysis, the therapist, he's trying to get something which you might even forgotten which has happened for a long time ago with you, he takes it to your conscious mind. Some fear is there, some trauma is there, some pain is there. So what he does, he brings it to the realm of your consciousness, your awareness, and makes you to deal with it, to come in contact with it and understand that actually it's not that bad. It's only, again, as strong as it is, as we're not aware of it. All this, really, all those fears and everything, just make it, look, have a realistic look at it, and it will become weaker, and it will stop troubling you. In Ayurveda, it is explained, it's a very interesting concept, and that this buddhi is a digestive fire in our mind. As much as there is a digestive fire in our stomach, which digests the food and turns the food into energy, into the building blocks of our body, completely transforms it into something useful. You take some stuff, and there is a long process, but ultimately it all depends on the fire. So the same way, this fire of intelligence, awareness, fire of buddhi is very important to digest our experiences in this life. We're constantly bombarded by different experiences, by different impulses from outside. And it happens on a regular basis. There is a certain period at night when it happens, actually. As much as at that period at night, between 10 and 2 o'clock, this is where the experiences of the day being digested and more or less brought into something productive. As much as the food, exactly at the same time, the same thing is happening with the food. You eat food during the day, it's being digested preliminarily. But the real digestion, when it's turned into the building blocks of the body and the energy of the body, is taking place in this period between 10 and 2. And therefore, it's extremely important to sleep at that time. That's why brahmacharis should definitely sleep at that time. They should go to bed before 10. They should be nicely. I know sometimes there is some preaching programs and we can somehow or other, but it should not be our regular habit. We should definitely try to go to bed as early as possible so that this few hours, very important hours, would be the buddhi would do what he's supposed to do, to really digest all these experiences and throw out what is not necessary and take something which is healthy and which is useful, as much as it is going on with the food, and then when you get up in the morning, then you're fresh. Sometimes we know, everyone has this experience. You have this very unpleasant day, so many unpleasant, emotional things happen to you. Somebody yelled at you, you did something wrong, and, somebody demanded something from you, and you felt completely suppressed. But if you slept nicely, you get up in the morning and you feel, yeah, it's fine. Let's go on. Hare Krishna, no problem. But only if this period of nice night's sleep is there. And therefore, sometimes brahmacharis, they get into extreme and they get up at 1 o'clock or whatever. It's not good. 2 is the earliest. 2 you can get up, but not before that. This period is very important to keep you sane and to keep your intelligence strong. As much as it is extremely necessary for our physical health to have the digestion fire strong and not suppressed. In the same way, we should develop our buddhi, our intelligence, and to keep it strong in a very good shape, then all these problems, including lust and anger and greed, will be digested by our intelligence. Ultimately, that's my point. You bring this to the realm of your intelligence. You analyze it from a very, analytical point of view. What is this? Lust. It's only as strong as we are not really aware what's going on. But if we look at this, I mean, it's not such a... It's like a little baby sees a spider, and because baby is so weak and spider seems to be so big and so strong, and it becomes scared, and then the whole life he's just afraid of spiders. But is spider something really, something really which we just add some importance to the spiders. And lust is a spider inside. It's not so big deal, really. If you see that this is just a little spider, that's fine, There's nothing wrong with this spider, just, don't pay too much attention. But because it's in our subconsciousness, it becomes so big. Just bring it to the realm of your consciousness. There is some chemical reactions are going on. These chemical reactions give you some experiences. These experiences are there. But ultimately, if you see it with the light, with the fire, with the light of your intelligence, it will lose its power. It will lose its ability to control you. And you will be able to control it. In other words, the key for controlling the mind is through intelligence. Intelligence is the highest possible faculty which we have. According to classical Sankhya philosophy, and according to Kapila Dev, the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is actually some confusion about buddhi. Sometimes people are very much confused how they say that buddhi is evolved or is developed from Rajagun. It is said very clearly in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that ego in Rajagun creates buddhi. And how come by something which is produced from Rajagun, I will control something which is produced from Sattvagun, because Sattvagun is higher. People sometimes cannot understand. But in reality, there are two buddhis. One is mahat, and mahat is buddhi. It's a universal intelligence. And you're controlling your mind not with this rajasic buddhi. Rajasic buddhi will only explain to you or rationalize to you why you should do what you want to do. It will only more or less order follow the orders of the mind. The real buddhi is coming from mahatattva, and because mahatattva means universal intelligence. So we have this intelligence in us, and it is through this intelligence, through this faculty, we know what is good, what is bad. We can really sort it out. But basically what it means, how to develop this sort of intelligence, only through the study. Not only. This is at least one very powerful way of developing this intelligence or developing this fire of digestion. As I said, for physical health, it's very important to have strong fire of digestion. For mental health and for spiritual health, it's very important to have strong intelligence, strong buddhi. So one way to develop this buddhi, one obvious way and very important way, is just to study, analytically study Shastra, study scriptures. Because, and not only, when I say study, study means not just read. Study means to understand the logic of the scriptures, to understand the logical structure of the scripture. This is explained Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur as well explains this. Srila Prabhupada explains this as well. Basically, to study scripture means to know, that there is this logical understanding which is developed in... Anyway, I will not go into it. It's too complicated. But anyway, what I want to say is that to study means to understand the logic, to understand the idea. Sometimes it seems to us that we're studying. We're reading, we're spending enough time to read this, but ultimately it's not really sorted out. To study properly means you sort it out, this is here, this is there, this is here. It's like, there is one devotee in Russia, Vatsal Prabhu, he's a very good preacher. He has this very nice analogy. If you come to a brahmachari ashram, and it's usually a mess. Oftentimes it's a mess. But then there is a cupboard. And if it's a proper brahmachari ashram, then every stuff, everything has its place in different shelves of this cupboard. And it's neatly and nice. If you come and there is a chaos, you cannot even use it. Dhoti is here, tilak is there, and you have to spend half an hour to find where is your tilak, and then another half an hour to find where is your mirror to put your tilak, and then achman kap. But everything is in a place, then immediately you can use it. So the same way, you will be able to use the scriptures if it's logically in your mental cupboard. If some emotion comes, or if some situation, difficult situation comes, if it's very nicely and neatly there in your mental cupboard, then immediately you know how to react, and you know what to say, you know what to act, you know what to think even. If it's there properly stored. But if you have brahmachari ashram in your head, with so different things, and you're not really clear, then difficult situation comes and you're bewildered. You don't know what to do. So one way to develop intelligence is to try to logically study the scriptures. Means basically put it into different categories. This is here, this goes here, this is the shelf for this. Where is this idea is coming from? Where its place in my cupboard? And so on and so forth. So this is one thing. And another thing, very important way to develop this intelligence or this ability to control the mind is basically to give a vow and to follow a vow. To follow the word. Why? This is one of the hallmarks of Vedic culture. People there, if they say something, they will do it, for sure. And that helps to develop the intelligence, the ability to control the mind. We have this ability, this faculty is there. This very high ability coming from Mahatattva in our microcosm, which is this buddhi, very powerful buddhi, which is higher than the mind, is there. But to develop it, to understand how it works, this process is very important. I say something and I do it. And I should never say something which I think I may or may not do. Sometimes as devotees we want to please somebody. And somebody asks us something to do and we say, yeah. And then we very quietly say, maybe. Not good. It actually destroys your intelligence, destroys your ability to use productively your intelligence. Because this is the power, this is the thing where it's coming from. If I said something, I should do it. If I'm not sure whether I will do it or not, I shouldn't say this. I should say no. I'm not. I can't promise anything. I should be very clear. So this is, and that's Vedic culture. Vedic culture gives the greatest importance to develop this intelligence, and all different things and customs and social norms in the Vedic culture are there to help people to have strong intelligence so that they will be able to control their minds. We are living now in a culture, again, for the lack of better word, we're living in a so-called culture where nobody controls the mind. And there is no question of culture where people cannot control the mind. Why? Because the intelligence is weak. Why it is weak? Because nobody consciously and consistently develops the intelligence. The intelligence is developed through the study of scriptures, through association, definitely, through the guidance. When we have counselor and counselor system, that's the way to develop the intelligence. And through, keeping the word, doing what we said we would do, and other things are also there, but this is the main part. So, and if this is there, then this is not suppression. If like for example, to give the practical example, we usually have why this suppressed anger takes place in us. Anger is basically the natural reaction when something goes not the way we want it to go, right? We have certain conception of how it should be because we are controllers, we are little Krishnas in our little room, and everyone should follow us. But if somebody doesn't follow, usually that's the reason. If somebody does something wrong, not according to my will, my desire, my understanding of what should be, then naturally anger arises in us. And there are different ways. One way is just vent the anger. Not good. We know it's not good. Sometimes we indulge in it. But actually it's better than just to suppress it, in one sense. Because if you just suppress it, you're still angry. You're still not happy. You're still depressed. You still have this energy of anger inside you. It will continue damaging it. So the proper way to do it, if something went wrong and somebody did something wrong, you should take little time and realize, first of all, I'm not in control, who am I? Why am I so angry? Nobody is supposed to follow my orders. If they follow, it's fine, it's good. I should feel lucky that they follow. If they don't follow, that's the way they are. Like Prabhupada, once somebody said, Prabhupada, they're leaving ashram. Prabhupada said, there's nothing wrong that they're leaving. What I'm surprised of, that somebody is staying. So if somebody doesn't do what we want, there's nothing wrong with it. We're surprised if somebody does what we want. So basically, from the rational point of view, we have to analyze why I'm so upset. Why? And if there is some reason for me to be upset, then I have to be, again, very clear, if it's proper reason, that he's not doing this and it's ultimately not good for him, not only just because he's not doing what I want, but there are some other things. And then by rationally analyzing it, I have to come to him and tell him, listen, you're not doing properly, it's not good. And I'm doing it without any anger, because anger is already digested, more or less. And in this way, this anger which arose will not damage me, will not harm me. Because again, from a logical point of view, I kind of solved this problem of anger. I understood what I'm supposed to do, and I'm doing it. But usually it's not like this. People, they carry this anger, for years. somebody did something, somebody said something to them. Like recently somebody told me, 5 years back you told me you drive me crazy, and why did you tell me? I said, I don't remember why did you tell me, because probably you drove me crazy. Probably that's the reason why I told you this. For all these years, he's just, why did you tell me this? Whereas the proper way, just ask me, why did I tell you? And if I'm wrong, I will beg forgiveness from you. And if you drive me crazy, I will explain how you drive me crazy. Don't drive me crazy again. So what's the big deal? So, but no, for 5 years, that was suppressed there. And that's very damaging, very damaging. And it's not really good. So to do this, we have to have very open relations also. And if we have problems, another way to really expose our problems to the higher intelligence. Sometimes we don't have higher intelligence, not enough. Then the way to solve the problem is actually to describe the problem to somebody whom we trust, somebody who is really higher, who has the higher intelligence. To reveal the problem, to tell him, this is the problem which I have, and this act in itself is a solution for the problem. Because again, while describing it in rational terms, you're getting rid of it, and you're revealing it, and that's a very powerful way to get rid of the problems, by confessing, by telling this, and by getting the guidance. And then it will be very easy to control the mind, instead of trying to suppress it and trying to make it even more difficult and monstrous than it already is. I guess that's it. I don't know if somebody has some questions.
Thank you for the class, Maharaj. Maharaj, I still wanted some clarification with this hierarchy of the mind and intelligence, because in the Gita we see that the senses higher than the sense of the mind, higher than that is intelligence. And in Bhagavatam 3rd canto they say, mode of passion, ignorance comes, and mode of goodness, the mind comes. So I just struggle to understand that, because it seems like the mind...
According to Gita, intelligence is higher than the mind, definitely. And my answer to this, because many times I was asked this question, and I was trying to explain it this way or that way. When Gita says that intelligence is higher than the mind, it's not the Rajasic intelligence which we have. We have Rajasic intelligence, which is basically pushing us to do what we're supposed to do, or not supposed to do, whatever. The way we are dealing with this world. But there is higher sort of intelligence which can control the mind, which is basically the manifestation of mahat tattva. That's the intelligence I was talking about. And when Gita says that it's higher, that's... otherwise, how can Rajasic intelligence bring us closer to Krishna? If it's Rajasic, if it's the evolute of the mode of passion, it cannot. Therefore, in Sankhya Karika, it is said that it describes that there are 4 qualities in this intelligence, in Mahat. Very interestingly. I haven't seen it in Srimad Bhagavatam, but I find it very, very interesting. First, a quality of this intelligence, Mahat. Srimad Bhagavatam speaks about Mahat Tattva, right? Mahat Tattva is the first thing. And while explaining this Mahat in Sankhya Karika, Ishvara Krishna says that there are 4 qualities in this Mahat. First quality is Dharma. And in other words, by this intelligence, everyone knows what is right, what is wrong. And if intelligence is strong, then it's dharmic, and you very clearly understand. If intelligence is weak, then it's adharmic, basically. Then the second quality in the intelligence is, in this mahat, is vairagya. Again, some sort of detachment. If the intelligence is strong, people are detached. If the intelligence is weak, people are very much attached. The third quality is Aishwarya, meaning not opulence, but meaning the controlling power. Aishwarya is coming from the word Ishvara. Aishwarya means, and basically it is said that in this clear intelligence, in the sattvic intelligence, it is said there that if your intelligence is sattvic and it's clear and it's very strong, then you will get dharma there, or very clear understanding, this is good, this is bad. You will get vairagya from there, and you will get Aishwarya, means mystic powers, the ability to control yourself and to control others. And the fourth quality is, of course, knowledge. Knowledge, in this case, meaning the understanding that the soul is separate from the body. That's all coming from sattvic intelligence. And this sattvic intelligence, sattvic buddhi, is the quality in us which knows what dharma is, which helps us to be renounced, which gives us clear knowledge that there is soul separate from the body, and which gives us ability to control ourselves, our mind, and to control others to a certain extent.
Thank you, Maharaj. That clears some few doubts. Just one more thing, Maharaj. I was also told, Maharaj, that the nature of the mind is thinking, feeling, and willing, and intelligence, discrimination.
Yeah.
And then, so that's the subtle body, which is material. But the soul also does thinking, feeling, willing, and discriminate. So the soul has its own mind and intelligence also?
Yeah. As much as soul has the senses. The senses, everything material is just a reflection of which is there in the soul. The soul does have it.
So maybe the Gita, when it says intelligent mind, and the mind is the sattvic mind, sattvic intelligence, which is the soul aspect. And what Bhagavatam says, the third canto, is the material, subtle intelligence.
I must admit that I see. Even Krishna himself explains in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that when this Sankhya description, he says some sages say there are 17 elements. Some sages say there are 25 elements. Some sages say there are 8 elements. And he says they're all right. Why? Because if you describe something, some whole, and you try to analyze it according to the different systems, you can analyze it this way or that way. And sometimes you only give some very, prominent parts. Sometimes you give more detailed description. Like, for example, you come to a company and you see a company and you're asked to describe, and you're kind of study how the company works. And you may give differently detailed descriptions. Sometimes you say, yes, this company, the boss is there and the company works under the boss. And that's true. But then you may say, then there is this board and that's how they interact and this and that. And you may go to different degree of detailed experience. So all the descriptions are true because, but it's just different details and perhaps different even, vantage points of vision. And ultimately this whole thing is for us to understand what's going on inside and what we should use, how we should relate to what is going on within our mind and within our heart.
Like you mentioned that mahat tattva means universal intelligence, and some say this bodily concept aham tattva comes from mahat tattva. The Mahat is higher intelligence, how this bodily concept comes.
That's the next element. Mahat Tattva creates ego. Aham Tattva is the next. Mahat Tattva is the intelligence by which you can understand that you are not this body. But then Ahankar is the next element which is created by Mahat Tattva and which is also universal and all-pervading and everything. So that's why everything has its personality. And everything has, even these things, we all know, with some computers I can work, and with some computer I just incompatible with this computer. It just doesn't work with me, Sometimes in Vedic culture it's very, it's very prominent. Even supposedly material things, they respect them. Like musician would pay obeisances to his harmonium in Vedic culture. Why? Because Ahankar is there. And if you please this Ahankar of harmonium, then it will play nicely, You enter into some more productive relationship. If you are just trying to exploit it, So, but it's not the same. Mahat Tattva is Mahat Tattva. Aham Tattva is the next Tattva.
At what stage this Mahatma produces a Ahankara? At what stage and why Mahatma produces Ahankara?
Why? Why? Because that's the design of this world. Because in this world is designed by God for us to manifest our ego. That's the playing ground for our egos. We want to be in the center. And that's why the provision is given to us. Otherwise it would be very boring place. We are there without ego. The whole game of this world is the clash of egos, and to show that I'm higher and even better and this and that and this field and that field. Oh, my goodness, so interesting. You can play for eternity.
Well, as you mentioned that we can strengthen our intelligence through studying the Shastra in the logical way, and it helps us to control our mind. How does the holy name relate to it? Does it also help?
Oh, of course, definitely. But see, intelligence is very important to help us to chant the holy name properly, because what we do, we usually try to chant the holy name on the level of the mind. There's so much garbage in our mind, and holy name is somewhere there, among this garbage, And literally, it happens like this. We chant, and every now and then we just come to understanding that holy name is. We are floating with this garbage, which is there in the mind, and sometimes we hear, holy name is there, all right, and again, swim in this, sewage of the mind. But if you do it with intelligence on a higher level, with awareness, because intelligence is what? It's awareness. It's awareness. Then the response from the holy name, the energy which you will feel from the holy name will be higher, and you will be able definitely to control the mind by this process for sure. But then you have to chant on this level. It is said. Chatvari Vak, that there are 4 levels of the sound. One is gross sound, Vaikari Vak. Next is mental sound, the sound of our thoughts. But then there is sound on the level of buddhi, intelligence, which is called Pashyanti Vak. And this Pashyanti Vak is where Ichha Shakti is, where desire, the Shakti of desire is. And if we chant on this level, with concentration and desire on this level, I mean, it's a different topic. I don't think I will be able to explain this. But basically, Pashyanti means that there is some image there, and you chant on this level, then it's much more powerful. And then automatically you will control the mind very easily, no problem. very easily control the mind by the power of the holy name, if you chant it in a proper way.
So how can we come on that level of chanting with intelligence? By studying the scriptures? Or
Also, by developing desire. When you chant with desire, with the goal, what is intelligence? Intelligence is your ability to set the goal and to achieve the goal, right? So, if you're very clear about your goal, the goal of your chanting, why I chant, if it's just a tedious ritual, which I have to follow because otherwise I will not be given breakfast, then it's one thing. If you really understand why you chant, for what you chant, what is the goal to be achieved, how it is to be achieved, and and then you come, then you're chanting on a qualitatively different level. Yes, Sudha.
Maharaj, you talked about suppression and how if someone is suppressing, for example, sex desire, then at one point it will come out in an unhealthy way. Is there any signs or symptoms that you can tell us of someone who's suppressing? So we could see it either in ourselves or in others. Any symptoms that this person is suppressing, so that we can identify it before it comes out in an unhealthy way?
Yeah, first of all, people who suppress their desires too much, they are not happy. They're really not happy. You can feel that they are more or less kind of not here completely. They are just doing something because they have to do something. They are not relaxed. People with these suppressed desires, people who have their desires resolved, they're actually very, easygoing, relaxed person. If you have, or another, of course, very obvious symptom of this suppressed desires is anger. He's supposedly doing everything, but you touch him, he's just immediately explodes. Explosion is there. Why? Because of this suppressed desires, and they're not happy, angry, and they always try to find faults in others and try to explain how, because they feel that something is wrong and they have to explain to themselves why it is wrong, and definitely it's not me who is wrong, it's somebody else who is wrong. So they have all this convoluted, very involved sort of rational explanation why everyone is wrong, and this corner is wrong, and this is wrong, and that is wrong, and how there is only one person who is right, and he happens to be him. Anything else? I guess I have to go soon. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj, I really like the concept you explained about the fire of digestion, how the body has a fire of digestion that keeps the body healthy, and the mind also has a fire of digestion which burns away these lower natures. So this is one of the cures of someone who has lost anger, greed, and just by taking rest at the right time between 10 and 2, it just eats it up away.
And basically what happens also, that's why we have to be born again and again and again. Because of all these undigested, unprocessed desires. When somebody dies and he has all these strong desires, and he feels unfulfilled and frustrated, because usually that's what it is. Old people, they're all frustrated because they feel that I'm not successful in life. No matter how successful they are from the external point of view, they're frustrated, really frustrated. So that's what happened during the period between the lifetimes. All these things are being processed properly. It's like you get the hard drive of your old computer, and you put it in a new computer. But before putting it in a new computer, you archive properly everything. You put something really deep down, if it's not really necessary, but some prominent things are there, still active. So that's what is going on. That's what is called prarabdha karma. You know, you have this karmic accounts in this body. You have kriyamana karma, karma in the process of developing, which you're doing now. You have prarabdha karma, karma which you brought from this. When you die, all the karmas, they merge again. And then through the process of, according to the mechanism of this universe, some things are being archived, and something which is very important, they put prominently in a certain place, and then you get new computer with the old hard disk, but little more systematized with a clear program. And this program is there in your chart. A good astrologer will say, here is the program which you came with in this life. This is your mission in life, this is what you're supposed to do, this is what you're supposed to achieve, because this is the strong desires which you brought. So, in a similar way, during the night, because night is some sort of pralaya, right? It's some sort of distraction. Also, some processing is going on, and some sort of sorting out of all these experiences and karmas are taking place in a smaller way, but it's kind of bring it to a more ordered way. And therefore, sleep is so important. If we wouldn't sleep, we would go crazy. Sleep is very important, and therefore, death is very important. If we would not die, we would also go crazy. It would be only crazy, senile people with completely undigested and unprocessed minds. So the death is very important. It's a part of life, to help you to start anew, refresh, and ultimately frustrated and happy devotee. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Jai. Anyway, I have to go. Okay, thank you very much.